let's talk education. When most Nigerians want to talk about education in Nigeria, they always refer to the 70s, the 60s, when a lot of them had access to even free education and the quality was superb. But when you talk about it now, you could see the demeanor of a lot of persons that it just goes like, what are we really doing? What happened between then and now? Is it so difficult to replicate? What is the challenge really?
When you talk about it, now you just mentioned, you said we were talking about the 60s and the 70s. Of course, I was born in the 70s, and I would say that I enjoyed some of the things that those people were talking about. Yes, I enjoyed the free education. I had free books. They gave us food in school. And let me just say here, I went to what we called at that time a Jakonde school. And it was great. It was lovely. It's not like what you see today. Look at the food that they say they give to children in school. Those things are not as good as what it is that some people give to their dogs at home. So you've asked the question, what happened? And why is it that people are not able to replicate it? I'll just say that it's a failure of leadership. That's exactly where it is. Because many of those who are in leadership positions today, they enjoyed these things that we're talking about. They did. They enjoy the free education, they enjoy the good schools and all of that. And it's not like what you have today. Some of the schools that we attended those days were better than what you call the private schools today. Yes. But all of those things have changed. They've become so dilapidated. The school that I went to as a little girl, Eniton Primary School in Surulere, for those who know Surulere very well. You look at that school now, they say it's a school that is set aside for house helps. And I wonder how it came to that. We had wonderful people in that school. I went to Aguda Grammar School because I grew up, I was born in Aguda, Surulere. I had people from all over right there. I had people from outside the shores of the country were in my class, they were in my school, and we had a wonderful time. So as I said to you, it's just a failure of leadership. And until we get leadership right, so many things will continue to go wrong.
I'm sure if you go to Aguda Grammar School at this point, you will not like what you see.
I go there from time to time to teach, to talk to them, mentor them, to say to them, look, some people have passed through the school. But when I get there, I feel so bad that it's the way that it is. But as I say to you, when something is wrong, you know, at the top, look at a fish. Once the head is bad, you know exactly what's going to happen.
But looking at what you've said now, do you think we can have those days back, or we can have something better than those days in terms of education?
But of course, pay the teachers well. Train the teachers. Both of you have an idea what it's like. We've had some governors who have set examinations for teachers to even write. And we've heard of teachers who have failed these exams. So what are we talking about? Get them back on track. It's called train the trainers. You train the teachers all over again. There's nothing bad in unlearning some things that you think you know, learning or relearning, you know, some other things. Try to find better ways, newer ways of doing things. Go for trainings. We don't think about trainings in this place. I'm putting a set of training together, and you'll be amazed at the things people are saying to you. We don't need it. We can't pay for it. Now, if you cannot pay, bring money out from your pocket to take care of yourself, how do you want to get better on the job? So I think government should begin to think about it, get to train these teachers, make the environment conducive so that we can gradually, you know, come back on track.
All right. Now I would like to focus, excuse me, on the education of the girl child, which is quite important. In Nigeria, how have we fared in that regard?
Well, when you talk about the education of the girl child, in some parts of the country, you would find that the enrollment is quite high. It is okay. Very recently, I had a very honest discussion with the First Lady of Kwara State, and this question came to the fore. And she said to me that it is something that the state is truly looking at to see ways to have more girls in school. And she says that the idea of having young girls go to hawk before going to school in the morning has actually, you know, stopped because their parents are now being, their mothers are now being empowered. So I'll say this is something, if you look at the southern part of Nigeria, you find that there are more girls in school because this is something you would say that the parents have seen the importance of having the girl child in school. But let's look at the issue having to do with out-of-school children in the northern part of the country. We know exactly why this is. Sometimes you talk about child marriage. Sometimes you talk about the fact that people don't see reasons why the girl child should be
But there are
at school.
issues of conflict
Yes,
as well.
also.
So how is that compounding this issue?
Yes, it is. It is very true, very seriously. I spoke with a lady who's in the thick of things in the northeast of the country, and she says to me that it is quite bad. Talking about conflicts, killings, insecurity, and all of that. Who would want to have a child in school in a place where there is unrest, in a place where there are killings, there are bombings, and all of that? So it's truly affecting it. And as I would say, we need to get leadership right. If that is right, you know, there will be peace and the schools will truly function.
There is the aspect of funding, and a lot has been said with regards to our budgeting for education. How much will that change a whole lot in terms of the level which we find ourselves when it comes to education?
I want us to be very optimistic, you know, because there's been a lot of pessimism when you talk about education, and people relate it to some other sectors of the economy and other things that government officials do. Just this morning as I was coming, someone sent me a message because I said to people, look, I'm going to be talking about education. Someone says, why don't you ask the question of why the National Assembly is thinking of renovation with such amount when
Instead
you look
of
at
channeling
what it is.
it into education.
Exactly. So I think we need to reorder our priorities. We need to get our priorities right, because I don't understand how we want to move forward developmentally if we don't pay attention to education. Look at it now, children in other parts of the world, people are learning coding, people are learning languages. Many are sending their children to go learn Mandarin. It's not just about English and French or Spanish anymore. New languages as it is, so that they're able to compete
Be a
favorably.
part of the global world.
Yes, yes, exactly.
All right, thank you very much, Ify Onyegbule, for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.